Hi guys. So welcome to the second stream. So last time I was coding mostly the player controller and trying to make my player move. So once post the stream was over, I basically went on and completed the player controller. I basically have a scene setup right now where the player can move. The camera would basically follow him. He can perform activities like attacks. uh, Basically it's a slash attack. He can jump. There are no animations as of now. The double jump also works, which is basically going to be like an ability that I will remove once I'm done. So right now I guess I have to fix this part as well, but before that I wanted to get done with designing the levels. So I was basically creating a design for my entire map, and it basically starts with the first area that is going to be this particular part where the player would spawn here. He would then go through like multiple, mostly three main bosses to unlock this area. I mean, this area would already be unlocked, but mostly this path, which would then lead him to like the rest of the map. So yeah, going to mostly continue with this. Just give me a minute. So we will be using um, internet today a bit to basically get some naming conventions right. Mostly being related to what in what I want to watch, like name the areas. So the first place is where the player wakes up after like a brief hibernation of around 10 years. So I'll click Solace. So um, the room of, so what I was thinking of naming it as like the room of awakening. Um, this is going to be like my kingdom's, uh, not the main area of the kingdom, but it is going to be a huge area, um, which is not exactly a maze, but uh, the player would basically meet all the NPCs, which not all the NPCs, like a few NPCs, which would basically help him out with his gear. So like the swords, your blade, basically upgrading the blade, then your charms, then you can also upgrade your magic abilities that you have over here. Uh, so those things like those. Um, yeah. So next, I'll basically design the next area which you can. So the concept is that once you reach this part, you can basically go into any direction from here on out. So you have an entire uh, maps to explore. You would basically be blocked at some areas, so you have to come back to them, and so you do have to come back to those areas. Then you uh, can access again the things that were hidden. So this mostly is not a very restrictive game in terms of exploration. So let's say you basically wake up somewhere around here, and what I want this place to be is that you get connected, and you basically drop down into this huge massive area. Now what this does is that even though it is small, it is going to be like the start of your game, and it's like all, not all paths, but like paths lead you here. So yeah, I'll just start designing the other areas now. So you basically enter this huge map. This is going to be the forest, um, and uh, so two paths. Bottom, upwards. So gray area here would base is basically signifying that these are going to be secret rooms that the player may or may not find. If he does, it's good for him. Then otherwise, you can just skip these. It's not necessary. Some would basically have Hmm. So this city is basically a city where everyone is feared, like fearful of anything that is happening. So what they will basically be doing here is that once the player even reaches here, he would meet NPCs that would be either scared to talk or just run away. Um, this would continue to happen until you basically have defeated the main boss of the area. Um, so yeah, this is I'm calling it the Faraway Castle. So there is a land which is called the Faraway or the Faraway Land, and what I was thinking is that let's start the game from there, since that is basically a lore thing which would unveil itself slowly. Yeah, but that is how like I am basically planning it to be. So you would wake up in the faraway castle, and then you would basically traverse around the area with fighting rivers. Why I'm also thinking of not naming it faraway castle is because why the three bosses? They could basically be like your trainers. So those are like the thing which I'm thinking of doing. So yeah. Um. So Dreadmere is going to be like a city where people are like, I said, fearful of everything that is happening with them. Um. This would basically make the travels of the NPC itself a bit hard. Um. Yeah. So you basically have to navigate through a lot of it here. Um. So it would start from this the outside of the city. It will basically then lead you into the main part of the city, which is going to be this area. Um, this leads to one of the shops where you would basically get the thing which would allow you to store some spirits. So it's going to be like the only place you can find it. It's a huge shop, the first of its kind. The second area, or like this particular area, would be where you would get the map, or where you can activate like the map itself. You would have some points where you either go get your map activated, and then you would basically have the other places to explore as well. So yeah, this is not going to be a huge area per se, because like it's like one of just a small city where like people are very fearful. Um, the boss arena is basically locked over here, which allows you to uh, reach a certain area, which is like a interesting point, or you can say it's like a hot spring. So yeah, so this is what Dreadmere is going to be like. So a relatively larger area compared to like the one we had before, from where we started, but you know, still a very small area. Um, So this big area is like a point where you would uh, so the plan is to have a few cities which are going to be like in a straight line, uh, where you can where you're having something called a train, basically a train station, which you basically activate and move through each and every city from A to B. The cities which are going to be like in line are going to be the cities that lead up to a certain area on the map. So what it basically does is that, like one of the bosses, so each one will have a boss, but one of the bosses that you will find is basically the city is like a part of a kingdom or a small kingdom, say. So the the concept here is basically derived from Yggdrasil. So the tree in Norse, which is basically the Yggdrasil. So you have your so you have your Alfheim, you have your Vanaheim, Jotunheim, Niflheim, Helheim, Svartalfheim, Muspelheim, Midgard, and Asgard. So your Midgard is basically your Earth, where Earth is. Um, the other so basically the Alfheim and so Asgard is where the gods live. So the faraway land is basically that. Not exactly that. So faraway land is more of like Alpine. So it's like between the two realms, and then the base layer is going to be the Muspelheim, Svartalheim, Helheim, Niflheim, Jotunheim, Vanaheim. So like what I'm doing over here is that Midgard is one huge city, and you basically move through. It is being ruled by one particular. Uh, so there are three main enemies on each of them, and then is one main boss, of course. Like, but there are a lot of sub enemies that are going to be here. So each particular enemy that you see here is going to be a straight, not a straight map exactly. It will be a completely different thing from A to B. Uh, so the Bifrost is going to be something which you can use to travel through like each and every realm over there. Which is also what I'm thinking of, making this particular thing as my Bifrost. So it is kind of like you basically have a huge bridge which allows you to basically travel from A to B, and this helps you out um, in doing the fast track sometimes if you want to, but you need to open the Bifrost towards each of these places. I won't say that each of these areas is going to be like 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So there are 9 areas over here, but I would say that each of these areas is what it is going to be like. I have plans for way more areas than this, with this, and I'm mostly taking this as an inspiration. But a lot of this would basically be like, um, what do you say? Like conceptualize. Yeah. So this is like a better way to show it actually. So you have your Midgard Ocean. Your Niflheim is like the frost area. Your Muspelheim is like the area where the fire giants live. So the Niflheim is basically the realm of the frost giants. Now, the Alfheim is where the Elvish live, and the Vanir and the Aesir are the two types of gods that are there inside um, Asgard, or sorry, in Norse. So the Aesir gods are basically your Thor, um, Odin, the Vanir are basically your Frey and Freya. So these they basically marry into each other, but they are always at war. Alfheim are the like the elves, so they are kind of mostly forgotten. Uh, the Surtur is the king of Muspelheim, who is also responsible for starting the Norse, the end, basically Ragnarok. Niflheim is basically your area of so why it is called this, so Spring of Avenger is because this is where the one who basically birthed everyone was here. You have Helheim, which is basically ruled by the goddess of Hell. Or her name is Hel. She's the daughter of Loki. Jotunheim is going to be like the Jotnar, so your giants. And then you have Svartalheim, which is like uh, which has dark elves. They're not exactly bad, and they also have Neverdalir, which is going to be the area where you have the dwarves live. So this would happen. The Well of Earth is basically where you get, I guess, the where Odin got his knowledge from. So yeah, and yeah, so this is what I'm thinking of. So like the area that you'll fall into is Midgard. So you're basically going to have like one city, then the next city, then the next city, then the next city, and then the next city. You have like these different cities, all of them uh, coming together, and you basically have this huge station, which is going to be like a train station to where you can mostly travel, like which would allow you to travel mostly from uh, like from one city to another. But this exactly won't have uh, so now the train station basically leads you is a connection between two of the realms. So so your earth and your underworld are basically connected via are separated by this station area. So anything which is below here you would also be able to travel to through the train station, but there you won't be able to use the train to travel. You have a different method altogether to make the fast travels over there. But yeah, so you basically unlock the Bifrost once you reach the realm of the gods, which is going to be like the top part. The faraway castle is again like even far away from all of. So it is mostly like an area where no one actually lives. So it's used as um, like say if the gods were said to be like retired, that is where you basically go. levels right now. Probably make the world's layout first. So this is going to be like the spawn area. So you spawn here. I'm going to call this thing the thank you, Aishwarya. Thank you. Thank you, ladder. So now I have all the cities. So starting from the top, God's Land is basically going to be the city where the god of gods live, basically like Asgard of this area. Godfall Arena is so Eldergard is the realm, like the city of the old gods. So like the new gods basically took over power from the old gods, and they were basically forgotten by the people below. So this is the Eldergard where they basically stay, biding their time. They're not. Valhalla is basically your heaven for warriors. So anyone who dies here, basically, if he dies a warrior's death, he will go to Valhalla. Godfall Arena is like the god's land. May what happens is like you can get banished, so demigods can get banished, and those guys basically fall into the Godfall Arena. It is also a land of like demigods, so you have constant battles between various demigods, and the ones who are like lost or like people are against them from the demigods, even with so they uh, basically when they die, they don't go to Valhalla since they are gods. They basically go to Shatterhaven. Um, and the same, so, so they go to Shatterhaven. Starreach is basically say a god retires. So he is basically sent to this place Starreach, which is like far off, far away. Goldspire is the city of gold, so it is not actually ruled by the king, but I mean it is kind of under his control. But yeah, this is like the richest place on earth, on this particular earth. Then you have Ether Peak, which is like the peak for the highest mountain. So you basically have to climb to the top, something like you do in Celeste. Um, you then have a road, which is going to be a place where you basically have it's the forest, like the lost forest. So you constantly can get lost in this particular area. Um, then you have the crown rot, which is basically so Glimmerpot is the place where you basically have people who are like scared, dead scared, and Aqualand Warholt is basically here, I would say. So Crown Rod say you could actually see uh, Aqualand. Warholt is basically your Colosseum kind of area, or sorry, your Rome. Crown Rod is the capital, so it's called Crown Rod because the crown has been rotting. And the player basically awakens here in the Castle of Awakening, which is kind of far away, like somewhere around here. Um, and he falls from here, so your Elder Guard can go here, and Goldspire is still like here. So you basically fall into the Earthwood straight away. That is where you start the game. Um, yeah. Um, Next is Aqualand. So this is a land which is like a city which is very advanced. Going to be not advanced. I would say it's a city like Venice. It's going to be like a land which has a lot of water around the area. Um, from here you have Dreadwig. Dreadwig is basically like I told the place where like everyone who lives there is usually scared. And then you have the Gates of Abyss, which is not exactly the name of the city. I'm not naming it right now, But what is here is basically there is a huge hole that is like the path to the abyss, direct path to the abyss. So like if the player jumps inside, he would basically reach the abyss. If he does not have enough strength, he might get torn apart while he's traveling to. So the only way to reach the abyss is if the player goes into the void. So void is basically an area which is like uh, basically it is like a mirror world kind of thing. So the only way to reach like the abyss from here is if you do. Serpental is like a land of serpents, so it is ruled by the Serpent King. Golmer is like all the dirty water, which basically goes from the Middle Earth to like the through the gates of abyss and into the Pandemonium. So Pandemonium is going to be the lair or like the city or the capital of the Demon King. So everything that is bad there goes into the Golmer. Yeah, so that side's like closer to the gates of abyss, and then you have the abyss, which is like a huge area, which um, yeah, it's the abyss. Now, Crimson Hold is a completely different thing. So there are two things which happen. One is Shatterhaven. So Shatterhaven, basically, like I told, is the place where the banished gods or demigods stay. These are the gods who then can try, or they basically are all these. Uh, the same thing happens with like the demon land. So anyone who is banished from Pandemonium, like especially the ones who are like gods over there, go to the Crimson Hold. So these two are like these two are like the jail. Yeah. And yeah, so this is the map. Um, you have your Castle of Awakening here, which is pretty fun. Once you complete your tutorial section inside the Castle of Awakening, you're basically going to like fall through. Uh, so what might one sort of see Castle of Awakening instead of doing it like this? It is basically that it is completely out of the tree. So Okay guys, so thank you for watching. Ending the stream here. Mostly done with like the base uh, game design. So like the game levels would be like this, structured like this. There'll be a lot of things that you can do and can't do in this. So like total lands 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, like 20 areas to explore. So yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Please like the video.